What else have we got, Matt?
We had a number of constituents write in going back to the issue of climate change legislation. Curious why specifically you support that legislation. Do you expect that we'll be able to pass something in this political and economic environment? What kind of an impact will it have on job creation, et cetera?
Well, good question. As I answered to the previous web chat question, I'm completely convinced that this is a vitally important thing for us to do from an environmental perspective and a critical advantage that we need to seize from an economic point of view. But the tough question is, are we going to be able to get it done here in Washington in this atmosphere of partisanship and as the political elections come up? And that is going to be a real challenge. Our neighboring Senator John Kerry is at the center of negotiations that he hopes will bring out a bill that both passes muster from an environmental perspective, supports the job growth and America's entry into the green economy, and at the same time is able to garner enough Republican support to get over these relentless filibusters that we've been seeing in the Senate. In the next few days, I hope to be allowed to have a look at that legislation. It's been very, very close hold as a result of the state of the negotiations. I don't know that, frankly, anybody is fully aware of it other than the three principals. But I've spoken repeatedly to Senator Kerry about it, and we've been briefed as much as we can be, and I hope to be more familiar with the details of it sooner. Clearly, if it matches the bill that we passed out of the Environment and Public Works Committee, it would do the trick. The question is, would it be capable of getting any Republican support? So I guess stay tuned on that. It is a live political question that is happening right now, and in the next few days, I hope it'll be made a little bit clearer.
What kind of impacts do you think this legislation will have on creating jobs?
I think the climate change legislation will have a huge impact on creating jobs. The fundamental change that takes place under the climate change legislation is that it puts a price on carbon and ends the subsidy of carbon pollution of our atmosphere. That allows competing technologies, renewable technologies, nuclear technologies, green technologies, conservation technologies to step up and compete on a regular playing field. The other thing that it'll do is it'll put us into a position where American industry can compete fair and square with Chinese, Indian, European Union industries, which are being supported by their governments because they see the prospect for being able to get enough of a technological advantage that you then own the technology and the rest of the world has to play catch up and you become the dominant economic force in that technology. We do not want that to happen for America. Another important factor for this is that it will reduce our dependence on foreign oil. America is far too dependent on foreign oil. It is a problem that has national security implications as well as economic implications. Both economic implications are severe. The economic implication is probably the largest drain, hemorrhage really, of value of wealth from one country to a group of other countries in the history of mankind. I mean, it is a big drain of funds. And to keep those funds in America, and instead of investing them in Saudi oil and Venezuelan oil and oil from parts of the world whose governments do not wish us well, to have that money stay home and be invested in developing new technologies and new jobs to put us back into a position of leadership is really important. So the problem that causes this is an environmental problem. We often refer to this as green legislation or climate change legislation, but its most pronounced effect for the average American will be seen in, I think, substantially increased job growth and a much more competitive American economy.
Our next email comes from James, who asks, how do you see the role of public transportation in protecting our environment and keeping down our energy needs? What needs to change?
Well, America has a long love affair with the automobile for the independence that it provides. It's important where we can that we support public transportation. Clearly, we in New England, who enjoy the benefits of Amtrak going up and down the eastern seaboard, understand how important that is. And the stimulus funding that the president pursued has put considerable money into the development of that kind of rail and public transit system. So there's been some progress there. We're also looking forward to immense progress in the technology of the automobile. Hybrids are now not uncommon to see on our roads, and we are looking at technologies being developed both in our country and in other countries for all electric vehicles and for even hydrogen-based vehicles. And if we can make the automotive sector and the transportation sector of the economy one that causes less climate pollution, less carbon pollution into our atmosphere, we will have done ourselves a world of environmental good, and at the same time helped provide a competitive platform for American industry to make and export these vehicles and this technology and help support our economy and our jobs.
Our next question comes from Nancy, who is curious, as the deliberations are taking place within the committee and on this legislation, what is the status of nuclear power in these discussions?
Nuclear has some very, very strong advocates, Nancy, in the Senate, and I think that it's pretty clear that nuclear is going to be a part of the solution. In order to get votes from people who support nuclear power, it's important politically, and also nuclear power is, in fact, very low carbon, and it's, I think, at this point, fairly inevitable. We've seen over many years that our military forces are capable of running nuclear facilities safely, and it's not, from my perspective, the favored technology, but if you believe that carbon pollution is as significant a threat as I do, then it's a good second best measure as these other green and renewable technologies, which will take some time to develop, come to scale. I would view it, I guess, as a bridge technology. There are also some very exciting technologies that I've been looking into at the kind of outer limits of what we can currently do with nuclear technology. But there are American companies that are looking at ways to run nuclear plants not off of nuclear fuel, but off of the nuclear waste that we've gathered over the years. There have been estimates that as much as $1 trillion worth of power could be provided simply by reprocessing our nuclear waste. That is a twofer. It gets rid of the nuclear waste, which we'd otherwise have to find a way to dispose of because it's very dangerous, and we at present have no way to dispose of it. And it's very dangerous to protect it, to keep it from getting into the hands of people who would wish to do harm with it, to make sure that it's properly safeguarded, stored. All of those problems begin to go away if we can use it as a fuel source. So it's a twofer to be able to take what is now a very expensive waste product, nuclear waste product, and turn it into a valuable fuel that will generate low-cost electricity. And that is certainly worth exploring.